Hi guys, and welcome to another edition of Talking Finance with me, Dan. My special guest today is Petra Novikova from Carina Assist. Hey Petra, how are you?
Hey, I'm very good. Thank you so much for having me here. And I love how you're calling me Queen.
Uh,
I feel
well,
very privileged here.
well, look, it's it's not very often we get the specialists within the area to actually have a honest chat about how you
Mhm,
see things.
mhm.
It's not an ad. It is more. I'm picking your brains for the benefit of the community. And as a result, it's nice to get that, and you tell it as it is, so rather than any corporate speak or so forth, right? So
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm from Czech Republic, so I'm very direct. So I always say how it is.
not South America. No, it is. No, it's funny because for the audience, if you haven't seen our previous videos or podcasts before, every time I suppose online or over the phone when I spoke to Petra, it's like, are you South American? Are you, because
Like
the
where?
accent's sort of there. Yeah, when they're South America. Yeah.
I think it's just a mixture of a few accents, but yeah, I think I'm always gonna have Eastern European accent.
Yeah.
It's just there. I can't
It's
get
just
rid of
there. Yeah.
it.
Okay, so accents aside and so forth, what we're here to talk about today is obviously how the VA business, what number one, how it can help a broker, but obviously number two, what you guys actually do, right?
Mhm,
And I think there could be some misconceptions about what a VA business, whether it's yours or whether it's someone else, um,
mhm.
do you guys do process loans, or do you just make phone calls on behalf of a broker, right? Um,
Mhm.
but I think I like to start off first with what's going on in the community. And it's been
Mhm.
going on for the last 12 months or more than anyway, because obviously banks are offering, what do you call it, cashbacks left, right, and center. The call wait times on the phone are driving people nuts.
Mhm.
And today, as we go to record this, we understand that one of the big four, which is the Commonwealth Bank, actually has on their call, on their wait messages, to please not be abusive to their staff, right? And I
Mhm.
find that interesting because I guess what one of your VA team's roles are is to take that low value task away from the broker and actually be the person waiting online with the bank, right? Um,
Yeah, it is exactly it, because if you as a mortgage broker spend hours on hold with banks, that's not the best use of your time, right? Like you should be out there chasing new business, helping clients, giving them options, strategies, and things like that, right? So if you're sitting on the phone on a hold with a bank, it's frustrating. And because you as a business owner, you've got your emotions tied up to the business, and you see like the hours ticking, right? And then you see how much time you're wasting on being on a hold. And then when you speak with someone, obviously you're frustrated, and you might say things that you don't want to say, and you might be unprofessional, and then just not, it's just not ideal situation. It's not the way to do the business.
Absolutely.
So
Mm.
having a VA or any kind of support team, it just you distance yourself from that situation, so you can be focusing on the high value task, and being the expert, and then just get the low value task, or the task that you don't need to be doing, to someone else.
Yeah, I think I'll just remind the audience with this as well, because obviously, whether it's a bank or any business, if you are abusive to a business, they can choose not to work with you. Okay, it's their right to do that. So when you're on the phone for an hour waiting, 2 hours waiting, you're going to get more and more pissed off. The more and more pissed off you get, the more likely you're going to make a mistake, and you're going to say something in the heat of the moment that you will regret. Um, so you can lose you can lose your accreditation. So just be aware of that. Control your emotions. But otherwise, you talk to the VA Queen here, and her staff can assist you there. Um, but let's have a chat about, I guess, how or what you guys actually do, because I think there's something you'd like, you can share with us on stream, so
Yeah.
that we can get the audience to actually understand what the whole point of a VA is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the main point of having a VA, it's the same as having any other support in your business. Yeah, you need to allocate your time into the high value task and things that you enjoy doing and you best at, and then just get someone else to do the rest, because most of the times they're going to be best at doing the low value task when you're going to be focusing on generating the business and so on. I will share my screen. Just give me 1 second. It's probably the best way to describe it and explain it all. As in having a virtual assistant, there are usually a couple of options for mortgage brokers. So you can have pay per deal basis, where that's more transactional business, or you can have a full-time dedicated resource. That's the way I work with my clients. So we would assign you full-time dedicated VA. So the VA essentially becomes like your full-time employee. They just work remotely. They work from the Philippines. What I usually do with my clients is, before we start outsourcing, we would do this exercise together to kind of work out what are the things the VA can help in a business. So I've pre-populated these questions based on the most common answers from mortgage brokers. So what we do is that I divided all the tasks that the mortgage broker needs to do for high value tasks and low value tasks, the ones they like and the ones they don't really like or don't enjoy. Yeah. So the question is, like, what would you like to be doing more in a business as a mortgage broker? So usually the answers are, I'd like to be doing more client meetings, working on the business, doing some networking, nurturing referrals, relationships, and so on. That's working on the business. Yeah, that's what's adding value to the business.
Yeah, that's what's going to make you money, isn't it? So
yeah, exactly. So the high value tasks are the ones usually that are the revenue producing tasks. The high value task, the second question would be, what are the high value tasks that you actually don't like doing? Could be, as an example, compliance or bid papers.
No one loves compliance.
No one likes that. It's a huge part of it, right? It's any financial services. And then we go to the low value tasks. So all the low value tasks that you don't like doing on daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly basis, try to put as many tasks as possible in here, and then kind of work out what are the things that needs to be in this bracket. And then you go to the low value tasks that you actually like doing. Could be none, could be celebrating client wins. Usually the low value tasks that you like are the hardest to fill in, because these tasks are the ones that keep you busy, but not necessarily productive. So if you're in a business, you don't usually enjoy them. Yeah. And then we can go, how many hours a week do you work? I spoke with mortgage brokers who work 60, 70 hours a week, right? That's a huge amount of hours. You don't want to be doing that.
No.
So let's go.
Because then you're kind of like a slave to your business, right? Really, aren't you?
So. Yeah. And the funny thing is, a lot of business owners in general, mortgage brokers included, they leave the corporate world because they want to have some freedom and they want to work for themselves. That they have this idea of, okay, I'm going to be my own boss. But what they're actually creating, if they're doing everything by themselves, they're becoming self-employed. And instead of having one boss, they've got 100 bosses, which are their clients, because they're slaving to the business.
Yep.
Yeah. So question, if they're working, let's say 70 hours a week, then we go, okay, how many hours a week do you actually spend on things that you enjoy and you love, you best at? Usually this is around 30%. And the things they don't enjoy, let's say this can be 10%. And the low value tasks they don't enjoy is the majority of time they spend. Yeah. So if you look at the whole thing, if you're spending 30% on 30% of your time on things that you love doing and 70% of what you don't want to be doing, it's kind of losing the purpose of being in a business, because this is your why. This is the reason why you're in the business, and this is what you have to do in order to do your why. Yeah. And from a psychological perspective, if you want to be scaling the business, it's very easy to start sabotaging the business, because when you're onboarding clients and you don't have the capacity, you start freaking out. You feel like, okay, well, I'm going to onboard more clients, and what I actually have to be doing are all the things that I don't want to be doing, the things that I don't enjoy.
Yeah, and we're seeing that a lot, especially when the turnaround times for banks are blowing out. You see the stress, you see the renting. You don't actually have much more time to do the high value task, which is to go out and network to get clients, because you're trying to not bugger up a current deal, aren't you?
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more here. So if you're looking at these brackets, then the low value tasks that you don't enjoy are the lowest hanging fruit. So these are the tasks or the job description for the VA. So this is what you have to outsource in the first instance, and then work, okay, if I'm going to have 60% of more time, you want to allocate it here. So instead of 30%, you want to be spending 90% of your time on things that you love doing, and then have the technician who does the job for you. Yeah. Usually when you are a mortgage broker or business owner in general, you are a people person. That's why you enjoy the client meetings. You love the human interactions. But with especially mortgage broking or financial services businesses, the problem is there's so much of paperwork that people just stop enjoying what they're doing. So that's where the VA would fit into the business, or any support staff in the business. You need to get rid of all the things that you don't want to be doing, so you can position yourself as being the expert and then start working on here. Then it's easily to, if you want to put it into numbers, if you're going to be spending 3 times more on generating new business, then you're most likely going to double or triple the business within the 12 months. So that's how you would probably justify the VA. That's about it. That's all I wanted to share. I hope that makes sense.
And I'm looking at the very bottom field here at number 5. The VA costs are 25K a year. I mean, it's a bit of a no-brainer, right? If you're on 100 and you want to increase just to double it already, and your costs is an extra 25, that's why wouldn't you? The massive there. So look at it as in you buying your time back. So it's pretty much investment. It's not an expense to the business, because if you have someone on full-time basis helping you with all the low value tasks, you're going to have 30, maybe 40 hours a week of additional things that you need to be working on the high value tasks, doing marketing, doing videos and nurturing the relationships with your referrals and clients. And that's what it's all about. Absolutely. Do you mind if you could stop the screen share, or is there more?
Just doing that.
Fantastic. There you go. Okay, so let's take a step back as well, because obviously, your business is trying to give time back to the broker. Can I just ask, like, in terms of your business, what you're seeing more right now, are your VAs spending more times waiting on the banks to give an answer, doing all these follow-ups? What's I suppose, what are your team complaining about that banks aren't doing? And is it very similar to what the brokers are saying in Finance and Coffee?
It's definitely the time spent on hold. That's probably the main thing, and also getting the information that they need. So really pushing them to get the information they need from the bank in order to update the client. That's probably the main thing. But increased compliance. So there's a lot more paperwork, a lot more compliance that needs to be done as well from the broker's side. So that's obviously more work for the VA as well.
No, obviously, no question is because we're in a pandemic as well, and obviously some brokers will ask you, well, how is this going to work if your VA is sitting remotely overseas? So has your team been affected? Because I know some VA businesses basically slow down or couldn't do their task because they required their team to go to a central location. But I believe that's not the case for your team. Is that right? You've been working remotely for a long time now.
So we've been working remotely since end of April last year. So it's over a year. I actually see it as a benefit to the business. Mainly everyone's working remotely. Majority of people's got flexible hours, flexible working environment, whether they're in Australia or in the Philippines, it doesn't really matter. The main thing is if you're going with third-party providers and outsourcing provider, just to make sure they've got their privacy and security policies in place. So when we go through different dealer groups or aggregators, we always need to go through the compliance team. So basically how that works is we've got our own network, our VPN that the VA needs to go through, where all the firewalls and things like that are there. We're using LastPass, so none of the brokers actually sharing any passwords and any login details with the VA. So it's automatically pre-populated on the VA's computer. We also provide all the equipment. So everything is set up before it's given to the VA. So all the privacy and policies things or procedures are already implemented on the computer. And we're also using Time Doctor, which is, it's capturing the screen of the VA at all times. So if there's anything, we can always go back and review what the VA has been doing for the whole day. And it's also taking screenshots from the webcam so we can see physically what they're doing as well.
Oh, that's a bit scary, but that's also very cool because it gives the broker the peace of mind that their client's data, which is their data, is safe, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we often talk about, giving the VA time back to do other things, right? So I'm gonna have to be cheeky here. What do you do? Do you have any time back? Do you do anything fun, or is your most of your time you're still running hard? And I guess because we're still in COVID, I think you guys would be running a lot harder too, wouldn't you? Because I think more and more people are accepting in terms of well, actually cluing on that this service is available,
Mhm.
and it helps them, not get disaccredited because they're not going to call a bank and abuse someone.
I didn't know. So basically what I do with my time if
Yeah.
I outsource everything. Um, because we're growing, I've been in the business for 3 years, so it's not huge amount of time. So I still need to learn,
Mm.
right? So there's a lot of things that there's are always going to be things they need to be improved on, and the more the business grows, the new challenges starting as well. So it's more like finding the optimal way to do the business, and how to improve the clients relationships, how to improve the client's experience as well. But I love going to the gym, so I always have time to go to the gym and spend some time by myself.
Yeah.
But it's the choice, it's just having the choice to choose what you want to do with your time.
Mm.
So whether you want to invest it back into your business or you want to invest it to your family, it's all about having the choice. So
Or in
yeah,
your
that's
case, invest in your own health, right? So
yeah,
yeah.
and then just it helps everything.
That's awesome. I guess one of my final things to is sort of going back again, because we saw that big quadrant in terms of low value tasks that a VA does. Um, I guess some brokers might be misconceived that all their VAs can do that from day one. Is that right? Or their VAs can do some very basic things, but it's actually up to the individual broker, because everyone works differently. Yes, the compliance and everything's
Exactly.
the same, but every
Exactly.
business has different quirks. So it's actually up to yourself to sort of train that particular staff member to your own particular way of doing things. Is that right?
It is, and it's not. So it is right that it depends on what you put in is what you get out. Yeah, I totally
Mm.
agree with that. It's a matter of setting up the right expectations. So when we onboard a VA, they go through 2 weeks of training. The 2 weeks of training is based on this exercise, what we've just done or what I've just showed you. So based on
Mm.
the task and the things that broker needs to help with, we would customize the training based on what the VA is going to be doing. Yeah. The issue is that 2 weeks of time is not a huge amount of time. So from
Yeah.
day one, the person's not going to understand the whole logic behind mortgage broking and the loan processing. So they do have the basics, they have the training, they understand the logic, why it's actually happening and what's happening. But they also assigned to a team leader. The team leader is looking after maximum of 10 VAs, and that's the person who's managing the training and also the ongoing support. So let's say if you're going to get a VA, the first week it's always going to be just the introduction, the second week and the third day you're going to be getting up to speed, right? If the VA needs any additional training, the client can always request that from us if it's a general knowledge. So if it's, let's say, how to navigate Nexus, or how to navigate any different CRM or apply online. If it's the same job that other VAs would do, they can request the additional training from us. If it's something how they do in their business and internal training or internal processes, that's of course needs to be coming from
The
them.
broker. Yeah.
I always say the main thing is the communication. You really need to make sure that you communicate with that VA, and then you build a relationship with them the same way as with anyone from your team. Because if someone's going to feel welcome in your business, and they feel appreciated and acknowledged, they're always going to be working better. So I think that's
Absolutely.
probably the main
Yeah.
thing.
So it goes back to that message of being nice to people anyway. And
Yes.
then yeah, so and communication is key.
Yeah, I think that's about it. I
Mm.
think it's the main thing is to realize that it doesn't need to be that way. If there's something you don't want to be doing, you don't need to be doing it.
Yep.
And then you can just help, you can get someone to help you with it. But I'm sure I'm going to be talking to you again, and then we can maybe get some questions from the audience, from your group. And if there are any questions or any help that I can provide, I'll be more than happy to do that.
That's awesome. So for you guys who obviously, we're at the ending of the video as well now. So if you've got any questions with regards to what a VA does or how it's going to suit your business, just reach out to Petra. Um,
Mhm.
so, I do recommend that you look into this, whether it is, for simple things such as, even simple things as buying flowers for your guests, for your clients, right? These are the sort of steps that you may forget to do, but if you've actually got it in place, you have someone to do it for you, and then you look like the superstar to go out and actually and build your brand that way, rather than actually working your business trying to chase when's an approval going to happen. You can't call the bank every 10 minutes because you're going to have to waste at least an hour with every call. You could use your time better, and that's what this whole point of the VA ecosystem is about. Yeah. But Petra, thank you so much for taking your time to come in and have a chat to me today. Like I said, looking forward to having you back in the next couple of months just to see how things are tracking, whether things are different from your end that you see, or whether it's sort of the same. Because obviously, like I said, we're over a year in lockdown, well, in the pandemic, and much of the conversation is still the same. The gripes are, I'm spending too much time, either with compliance, or I'm spending too much time waiting on the phone with a bank. And then now there is actually a critical thing which could happen to your business that you don't actually realize, which is a bank can decide not to deal with you anymore, discredit you because you were absolutely mean to someone on the phone. And that's not how you do it. But yeah, but a business like yours can help.
Okay, yeah, well, thank you so much for having me, and I am looking forward to catching up next time. So hopefully we're gonna get some questions for the brokers, and I can add more value to you.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you so much.